You brought up those stats about XG, but if you look at the game yesterday, Tottenham had a higher XG than you. Away from your penalties that you got, Tottenham created better chances for us in that game.
Yeah,
we should.
wait.
I'm not gonna sit here. And you guys can sit here and laugh and so on, but I'm through the stat out there because Don was doing up XG.
How do you define XG? What is XG?
It's a load of bollocks. That's what it is.
Don't ask me.
No, XG.
What is XG?
I'll tell you what XG is. XG, yeah. I'll tell you why XG is flawed. If Erling Haaland goes clean through from the halfway line and there's nobody catching him, yeah, his XG for that will be exactly the same as if it's Eddie Nketiah in the same position. XG is a load of bollocks.
No, but it does make sense, though, Lee, because
it's a load of rubbish.
The position is the position on the pitch. Every player.
It doesn't take into account the magnitude of the game. It doesn't say so. It could be a final. Nobody takes that into account. No. But that also put right. XG is one of the biggest fucking messes in football. Yeah, along with our fan bases. Yeah, like real talk. XG is the biggest load of crap. Well, it's the biggest load of waffle, right? XG in a final, a Champions League final, is completely different because it doesn't take into account the magnitude of the game, doesn't take into account the London derby yesterday, doesn't take into account the player that's taken the shot. Yeah, it's just a metric that's made up by some.
You do realize XG means expected goal. That's all it means. It means expected goal. That's all it means, bro.
Yeah, I expect to have a shit at 10 o'clock every morning. When your XG is high, I'm not going to shit myself, am I?
No, but when your XG is high, Rom, when your XG is high, it means that you're getting a lot of shots on target. It means you're getting a lot of shots on target, bro. Right? Yeah. The higher the XG.
So why do we need another? Why do we need another metric for that when we have shots on target?
Better quality chances.
Better quality chances than Chelsea. You're saying that you created better.
I'm saying that the XG represented that. I said off of the back of Don's stats, that's what the XG.
Yeah, Jords did say it's interesting that Don mentioned that because I knew you were going to come back with your own stats. But do you know what you said? Do you know what you just said? Slightly flawed there because you said if you get a lot of shots on target, if you hit one from 40 yards out and it goes on target, that's not expected.
That's why it's not XG though.
But the thing is,
it's what I mean. It has to be in the box. There's a certain area.
No, it's quality of chance. It's XG basically is depending on where you are in the pitch. Different zones are gonna have different, let's say, percentage of scoring.
Why are we complicating football with maths exams? Like, what are we doing here?
Roms, put it this way: if you're in the box, Roms, yeah.
Nowadays, you can study a position on a pitch, and you could be like, 20 players have had a shot in this position, 15 of them are scored.
Who cares? Like real talk, who cares? Who won the game?
75% chance.
Yeah, who won the game? Who won the game, man? Them.
The only stat that matters is the full-time score.
Jules, chat to us though, man. Where did you not go wrong, man? Because listen. Looking at the game, obviously we saw Van de Ven and Romero came into the lineup. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I was telling my boy, I said, bro, you might have rushed them back against a team like us. The way we play, that is not good. And both of them went off. So you can argue that Ange was wrong. Ange was wrong, bro.
What you tried to run is, they both went off injured. No. Van de Ven
they did go off injured.
Let me finish, bro. Van de Ven went off at 60-70 minutes, which Ange already planned to take him off at 67 minutes. If you've ever seen Van de Ven come back from an injury, whenever he does come back from one of these hamstrings, he only plays an hour in a game. So he was planned to get taken off already. That was already said. Ange said Dragusin had planned to come on for him in the last half hour.
Yeah, Ange also said he wins trophies. Romero went into
the game with a foot injury. He'd then come out with a quad injury, 2 separate injuries. They're not.
So why was Jords? Why was he playing with a foot injury? Why is he playing with a foot injury? Why is he playing with a foot injury?
He didn't have a foot injury. He had a foot injury that he'd recovered from, and then he'd come back and now had picked up a quad injury.
Because his foot's not 100% sorted. That's why.
But he picked up the foot injury weeks ago. He was due to be back into the team next week. Ange then said the players looked good in training. They felt good in training, so they're going to come back for the Sunday game. As it's a big rivalry, you just mentioned there, Lee, the magnitude of the game. If you've talking about mentality and leaders and standards of your club. If I've got a leader in my dressing room, I'm expecting that leader to put their life and their body on the line, quite frankly, for the magnitude of a rivalry game. If he has 75% chance and he's feeling 75%, go and play. Go and play. I'm not going to get on to Ange for playing those players and not throwing in Archie Gray at centre-back or doing Dragusin and Archie Gray at centre-back, setting us up for failure. What are we going to do here? Just like he said here.
But now, sorry to cut in here. Now, you've got both of them out for a number of weeks again.
That's not true. Again, people are jumping on fake news. Van de Ven's not out. There's been no.
Van de Ven was holding his hamstring when he went off the pitch. He was sat on the floor holding his hamstring.
Literally come off and said that it doesn't look bad. He's not out. This one.
Yeah, Ange is a serial liar, mate. We know this.
He's not a serial liar, though. What are we doing here? Bro, you lot are just doing this agenda thing. My defenders in Van de Ven, when I see him play on Thursday, you lot are all going to not be talking because he's not injured.
No, not Romero. Maybe Van de Ven, not Romero.
Don, remember I did say prior to the game when everyone was saying they're not going to be back, I said our defenders will be back. I can promise you they're going to be back for this game. They've had more than enough time out. But onto what actually went wrong in this game, we're not going to look at the manager. We're not going to look at him for the fault at this defeat. If we're being honest here, you have to look above board. We have to look at the fact that Tottenham's rebuild, as you've seen from you want to do this, man, but it's the truth.
Why do you want to talk about the owners?
What you want me to do? What you want me to do?
Why is it down to the owners that you lost that game and you 2-0 and you effed it up? How is it down to the owners there?
Because look at half time. Chelsea made the adjustments. Chelsea brought on Maresca, as he said. He brought Caicedo into the midfield because he's seen at right back. I can't lie, Son was cooking him down that right hand side. So he's getting cooked. He thought, let me bring him to me. Let's make a tactical. He was cooking him. Come on, man. You're letting Sonny doing the little jinky down that wing. 33-year-old man. He's cooking. But you look at the tactical change.
I remember seeing him doing it once. I don't think he cooked it.
The fact that they can bring Felix off the bench for Cole Palmer, the fact that they can make these substitutions, Tottenham couldn't. When we look to our bench, the first sub that came off, Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner. Now, I do look at it and say potentially Maddison should have come on at that point, make some tactical adjustments, change the system, and then there could be something different in the pitch. That's one thing I can accept. I've always said Ange is naive and his in-game adaptability isn't there. But ultimately, I just generally think that the game state at that point, as many have pointed to, at 2-1, I think the heads dropped. The head was gone.
Heads dropped. Basuma's to blame. Sar's to blame. They're the real culprits.
And I'm sure Don probably felt it in the stadium because I know as a Spurs fan, you can really feel it in the stadium. At 2-1, there was already the belief that Chelsea had won this game. The game was already taken over. Chelsea had already done enough in that game and to put Spurs completely off it. And all this thing
quiet, man. They were quiet.
What'd you say?
I said they were sitting there quiet. They were chucking.
No, it's nothing about it being quiet. I look at the players, and I just think the players, we've got too many nice guys in the team, not enough leaders. Sonny, a lot of people looked at Sonny yesterday. There was a few chances where he should have finished them, but if we're looking at anyone as to why we lost the game, it's the midfield. The game was lost in the midfield.
Who picked them?
What do you want me to say here? Ange chose midfield, and they're the only 3 midfielders we have, Lee. So what's your answer to that? You answer that question and tell me what Ange should have done differently.
What Ange should have done? So Maddison weren't playing then, no? He couldn't play? Because I'm pretty sure Maddison touched it, yeah. Oh, so he got dropped. So you had an extra midfielder then. So there was another midfielder to play.
Because he was not performing.
Okay, so yeah, but that's not what you just said. You said we only had 3 midfielders. Well, factually, that's incorrect. You had 4 because he was on the bench.
Well, Lee, that's not my point. You didn't say. Now you're trying to go on a different point. You just asked me.
You said you had 3 midfielders available. You didn't.
Why did he play them? Okay, he only had 3. We're talking about midfielders. He's not going to play Maddison in an 8 or 6. I'm talking about 10. I did say Maddison. He would change him for Kulu. Kulu's playing better. What do you expect? Kulu's been performing better than Maddison. So you telling me that Maddison should play in the 8 or 6? Is that what you're telling me, Lee?
Maddison can play in an 8. He's done it before.
But in a game against Chelsea where they have Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo in the middle.
What about Archie Gray and Bergvall and Maddison? All 3 of them could have started a game or played a game. Well, they did play a game, but they couldn't.
Archie Gray's not been started in the midfield at all this season because he's obviously not trusted there. He's not physically at it.
So you trust him at centre-back instead?
I don't think... Lee, you're just trying to do point scoring here, man. What are we doing?
You played him at right back the other day and then played him at centre-back in the same game, but you can't trust him in his actual position.
Archie Gray's not a centre-back. He doesn't need to be played in centre-back, but he's not ready to play first team.
Bro, you paid 40 million quid for somebody who can't be trusted in his position, but you can trust him out of position twice.
Well, then when I wanted to talk about Levy, you just said, why are we going to talk about the squad? Talk about the game. So what do you want to talk about here?
The squad is
the fact that we had the lack of signings in the summer and we signed a 40 million young player.
But for me, you started the whole argument start with the owners. You literally started the whole argument start with the owners, and that's
you know what
I'm saying. Like you go to the but you started the whole argument based on the owners, and I'm like, no, let's look at the faults of the team first of all, and what Ange's doing wrong. Basuma as well.
But then it always goes back to like what Lee said there. Our options off the bench are Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, 2 18-year-olds with no Premier League experience.
But Jords,
you signed them.
Jords, this has been
55 M's.
Jords, this has always been my problem with Spurs, right? I understand managers rarely go against their principles, whatnot, but I've said this about Ange from day one. It's horses for courses. If you're playing against a team like Chelsea, I'm not even saying be pragmatic, but drop the line back at least 10, 20 yards. That little tweak can make a big difference. You will go up against the cities that are actually Spanksy, so they might not be the best example, but you'll go up against the better team, right? You go up against the better team and play the same way. He has to adapt to the opposition he's playing against. That is my problem with Ange. We already know you don't have good players. Your owners rarely back their managers, and if they do, it's with Dross. We know this. This is Spurs. But Ange isn't at fault for Basuma being an idiot. Ange isn't at fault for Sarr pushing over Palmer when he was going to the corner flag anyway. These things aren't on Ange. These things are on your players. That's why when Spurs fans go straight to Ange straight away, I'm like, hold on, look at your players as well. Look at your players need to take accountability.
That's my point though, Ron. I've been doing that, and that's what I'm saying. People want me to look at that game, and they want that's what people want. They want me to come out and say, Ange out, get this guy out my club. But it's not Ange, it's the players. These players are putting their head down. These players
it's both. It's both. It's actually both.
It is the players. I think if Ange has the right players, he makes these tactical in-game
turn it in, man. Come on. What are we doing here?
We don't have the right players.
He doesn't change a high line with better players. He doesn't change a high line with better players, bro.
Exactly.
The high line didn't kill us yesterday. It wasn't the high line. The defense wasn't the problem. It was the midfield. What are we doing here?
Bro, you've lost more games than Everton. You've lost more games than Everton, bro.
What's your point?
My point is, you're sitting there saying Ange needs his players. He's been here 2 years.
He's been here for 18 months and he's had 3 windows and barely made.
And how much has he spent? How much has he spent? How much has he spent?
The amount that's spent is irrelevant. It's
not, is it? Because you're saying he needs more players.
No. It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant because it's a lot.
It's irrelevant.
How much is
strategy has changed. We're signed. Most of the money that he's spent has been spent on players that aren't actually for the first team.